Welcome to another episode Beyond the Margins. Today, I'm here with a dental lab icon that perhaps needs no introduction. Like Cher, like Prince, or Oprah, we know her by her first name. Hello, Razi.
Hi, Jimmy. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. You've been in the industry for over 25 years, right? You began your lab journey, your dental journey as a lab technician, also became a chairside assistant, and you've evolved into forward-facing roles in the biggest names in the industry, from Glidewell, Preet, and now the CNC Group. Thank you for being here. You are now the executive director of the CNC Group in the time that you've been with them, right?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that. How did that journey come about that you ended up with CNC?
Well, it's been a very nice journey. I have been lucky and privileged enough to work with great companies and to work with great people in the industry and make great connections. Being in dental technology has been really a vast array of possibilities. At first I thought it was just to do with the craftsmanship and the technology and the technique and the learning the art, and I loved that part of it. But I'm a people person, and sitting behind the bench was not one of my strong suits.
Yes, of course.
And so I learned that I could, by learning the language in the dental clinic aspect and also the laboratory aspect, I'm able to use my knowledge and my people personality to do more for the industry and connect people, because I am a people person.
Yeah, absolutely. And now if we were to take it back, more than 25 years, before we dig into that evolution, of you as a technician and now an executive, what originally pulled you into the industry?
I like the craftsmanship. I am artsy. I like the technology. I like the simplicity of it. And I was into, I wanted healthcare. And this kind of was an intersection between healthcare, human impact, and the science and the art. Yeah. It had it all.
Was there anybody back in North Carolina that recommended you to go to dental school, or said maybe get into this industry? Anybody that influenced you?
Actually, no. I wanted to be a dentist due to the healthcare part of it,
wow.
And I started in school.
You would have been a great dentist.
And then I slowly realized that I don't necessarily want to work inside the mouth. I want to work outside the mouth. And having had some classes and having learned the language a little, helped me to go into the dental technology side first and learn the art. And I love doing things with my hand and the precision and the engineer. And really, dental technicians are like engineers, and
of
so
course. What did that workflow look like back then when you first started?
Oh, yeah. It was all analog, of course, when I first started. Whether in school, and whether when I worked for the first lab in North Carolina, it was all buckets of stones, pouring models, trimming, ditching dies, casting, and also waxing with Bunsen burners and one tooth at a time. So it was all analog.
And what do you think was the biggest challenges that lab faced at that time?
Consistency, I would say, because it was human-made and it depended on who's doing the work, and also it was much slower. So slower, and the process was not as organized as it is today with digital. It simplified everything, but back then it was longer. There's
a lot of defined workflows now, but what do you think are the challenges that we face today now?
Okay, today they have to learn a lot of new technology. They have to learn a lot of new equipment. They have to have knowledge. They have to find somebody to run the equipment for them. It is very, it's not as cost effective. However, it is definitely helping them grow into a faster, more consistent workflow.
There's definitely a lot to learn, not just from a technician, but also as a laboratory, right? As a business. What have you seen when it comes to the struggle with changes and where some laboratories are thriving and others are not? What do you think separates those two laboratories?
In my opinion,
Yeah, of course.
and having worked with 299 dental labs right now in the group, I see that the faster they adapted to this new technology, the more successful they are. They did trial and error. So laboratories that are ready to adapt with change, or as Gladwell used to say, ride the rising tide,
Yes.
they became more thriving. And the labs that kind of stayed behind and said, let me see if this is going to work, let me see if this system is good or not, they kind of fell behind a little.
If you were to think back, and out of all these labs that are thriving, what do you think is that driving factor? Is it just the ambition of the owner to grow and expand their business? Is it that they bring someone from the outside that influence that change? Or is it the next generation? Is it their children that perhaps are helping push that technology or that advancement in the lab? What do you think it is? Or maybe a combination?
It is exactly a combination of all that. Of course, the energy of the owner is extremely important. Having invested in his people or their people, the laboratories,
Of course.
their technology learning, bringing in experts to show them, holding courses, these all contributed to helping them advance. But also the new generation is more tech savvy, ready to change. They needed that change, and a lot of the older generation kind of didn't want to adapt to the change. Just like myself and my daughter, we are on a different level. She is way more tech savvy. So yeah, the next generation definitely helped.
We figure out what works and we don't want to break that, right? So we want to continue riding that wave, but then we close our minds to opportunities that make it even better. And that's that influence of the outside, whether it's your children or somebody else from looking outside, looking in, says, there's a better way, even better. You did a great job, but let's continue to change. And I think that that's what it probably has to challenge with the labs, having that mentality of constantly changing, right? There's an old saying that says, if you're not changing, you're dying, right? So I think that that's very important.
Embrace change, remember?
Embrace change, yeah. So is there a particular innovation that you feel changed the lab world more than any other?
Yes, with of course the technology that came, pretty much all of it changed. The mill, the scanners, the 3D printers, but in my opinion, the most important one was the impression scanning technique.
Yeah.
That connected the laboratories, the dentist, the manufacturer. It connected everybody on a different level, on a human impacted level. So they all had to communicate better with each other. They had to learn from each other. They had to collaborate a lot more.
Yeah.
And so I see laboratories now definitely teaching their doctors. They are teaching their doctors what scanner to buy, how the scanner works. I love this change. This is the change to...
And it's great that the doctor is leaning on their lab technician and the lab partners to help them continue to grow. I think that there's a big fear of technology, taking away that relationship. But I think, again, back to the change, it's finding ways to redefine that relationship and says, maybe I'm not making models for you anymore, study models. Maybe now I'm selling you a 3D printer so you can, do the study model yourself. So I see that. I think for me, on a patient perspective, when I was a lot younger, I remember I changed jobs, so I changed my dentist because my plan changed. And I went to this new dentist that had digital x-rays. And then I had an intraoral scanner. And to me, it was like, I'm never going back to any other dentist that doesn't have this, because for me to be able to see the x-rays when they scan them, and then for them to scan my mouth and not be with the putty in my mouth, to me as a patient, that was a game changer. So I can only imagine how that continued to even push the dentist to say, hey, I may need to look at a better way to have a better patient experience.
Patient experience created more trust, created more human interaction.
Yeah.
Not just with the patient, actually with everybody involved.
Everybody, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that we have a challenge as human beings of always wanting to wait for the next best thing, right? So when it comes to investment in technology, a lot of people are like, I'm gonna wait till the next model, or I'm gonna wait until this gets better.
Yes.
What advice would you give to labs that are stuck in a cycle of let's wait and see?
I would tell them embrace change, go learn all you can, help your people learn all they can, learn the new material, learn the new technology, jump in. Actually, to be honest, I don't see many labs that haven't adapted to at least one part of their workflow, but I would recommend that they go to all their workflow and to educate themselves on all of this in order to be the advisor for their doctors.
Yeah. I see your path, in the last few jobs that you had before CNC, you were always around, leaders that continue to push that boundary, like Jim Glidewell, like Bob Cohen, and
BJ,
yeah,
Reed from Derby.
So
Yeah.
you've had a lot of influence to see that change works, and when you invest in yourself, you can continue to get better, right? So I think that that's a great exposure that you have that gives you a unique perspective compared to other labs or other people that may not be privy to change. So I think that speaks volumes of the perspective that you provide, because you've kind of seen it all.
Thank you. Yes, I follow them on social media, even if I'm not on constant interaction, but it is the connections that help you grow as well.
Yeah.
And so by learning and seeing what not everybody, many labs are doing, I'm able to.
And now you are being a advocate and partner for the CNC group and leveraging these relationships with other manufacturers, for example. So where do you think that manufacturers misunderstand labs the most?
That's a good one. I think that they need to pay more attention to the labs and their needs and their difficult workflow, because manufacturers make a product for a perfect situation, but they need to know all the difficulties, and also they need to help them get things fixed faster, get things moving faster. Education is another big thing. Remember when we were at Glidewell at the beginning of 3Shape, Thijs Clausen, their CEO, would come and learn from our technicians what their needs were. And I knew right then that 3Shape is going to succeed, no matter what, because they're working for the technician.
Exactly.
And they are learning the difficulties. And I think bridging that gap by, having a manufacturer send some of their people, or learning the lab's perspective, what the lab needs, different sizes, small, medium, larger size labs.
It's not one solution that fits everyone.
Yeah.
It has to be catered to their challenge.
I agree.
So if you could give one piece of advice to lab owners preparing for the next decade, what would that be?
Well, I have a lot of advice for them, but the one most important advice, which I recently posted and I see, is that they need to invest in their team more, and not just in the professional part of the team, but also personal life of the team. In my opinion, they already have a lab, they already have a location. Don't just leave your door open for the art and the work and the production. Open your door to advance your people, motivate them, maybe bring in some health gurus, self-advancement gurus, better nourishment, better nutrition. These things will help our people, our team, be their better self. And also bring in lunch and learn, bring in all the manufacturers, advice, help your team learn it all and represent you better.
It's really interesting because, when I ask you this question, it's very open-ended, and you can go anywhere when it comes to it. You could talk about how you can scale your business, how you can bring in, capital equipment that can make you change. But at the end of the day, it's the people that are going to make the difference.
Yes.
And that's a great point. I think, when it comes to education, and investment in that employee, they're going to give you more because of that passion behind it, So I think
agree.
that's a great advice. And I think that's a challenge that we face today, right? In the dental lab industry, where, skilled technicians are diminishing because lack of schools. And I know that, NADL is doing a great job to promote that, but we definitely need more, because we have over 200,000 dentists and less than 5,000 laboratories. The lab work is not shrinking, so it's only expanding. So less laboratories doing all that work, we require the manpower to be able to make that happen. So that's great advice. So changing gears a little bit, tell me, about you. Tell me what excites you the most where digital workflows are heading.
So digital workflows, in my opinion, are going to make things faster, less mistake, bringing the team, the clinical team and the laboratory team and the manufacturing team and the vendor team together. So I think it's going to have a bigger impact on the human connection, which is what we needed in this industry.
I think there's a need for a sandbox so we can all come and play,
Yes.
right? Because in the past, we've had a lot of systems that may be very efficient, but they're very limited because they're closed. So that kind of removes a lot of the guesswork, it's very straightforward, A through Z. But there's so many components and so many partners that can create a better experience, for the patient, a better solution that the clinician can provide, and just the work that the laboratory can make. So I think that's a big factor when it comes to it, don't you think?
It is a big factor, and I love the fact that many of our laboratories jumped in, learned so much of the technology, and are advising their doctors, bringing in their doctors to hold courses for them, to interact with them more, create a better bond, create a community. I see, this is my passion, of course.
Of course, we all know, Rosie, we all know, Rosie, and the passion that you have for the dental lab. And you become a strong advocate for labs. Ever since you and I worked at Glidewell, even then you were a strong advocate for labs. When did it become clear to you that the industry needed more representation?
The whole time. Laboratory owners are very humble people, starting from Jim Glidewell himself, which we both know, and every one of them, no matter how large, no matter if they were also a part of the president of National Dental Association, they still are so very humble. It's in their nature. They have to be, or they are. And so I noticed that this humbleness and humility actually makes you not accept the light, spotlight on you, and to actually stand up for your worth and all the hard work that you put in. Dental lab is the backbone.
It is the backbone.
It is the backbone. But they're staying in the back.
Yeah.
And I think that during COVID, creating more awareness to public even, like I would call some of my lab friends and say, you're making a mask, you need to call your local news channel, have them come to your lab and say, this is what you're doing for your community. This is beyond just hiding. And, they just didn't want to accept the back. They wanted to stay in the background.
That's true.
And I think that it was time for that change, that they come forward, and now you see, since COVID, in my opinion, more laboratories are in the forefront. They're teaching, they are active, they're holding classes, they are educating dentists, doctors, manufacturers, vendors. They have stepped up. I love it.
Absolutely. And I even remember during the COVID years, it was very surprising to a lot of people, not to us, but a lot of people, that dental was an essential business, right? So it had to stay open, unlike other places.
Absolutely.
And when it came down to, infection prevention and just the PPEs, the laboratory was in the clinic. We're already doing it. It was nothing new to us. Yeah. So that's very, very, very exciting to see how much we've grown and where we're headed.
Absolutely.
What are you excited for next year when we go to Chicago? I know Chicago is like the Super Bowl for you, as the big gala. Like, what are you excited for there?
Well, of course, we have a CNC meeting too there in Chicago. So I'm very excited to see and connect with my favorite lab owners. They all belong in this group. There is a lot of people that I admire, I respect. I love the connection that LMT provides, the education that Chicago offers. I'm very excited about all the new technology that is out there, to see what's new. Every year there is so many new things, new material.
Is there something that you're thinking, I hope I can see it in Chicago, or I wonder if I'll see it? Is there one thing that you think when it comes to a product or service?
Product specifically, faster 3D. I hate to say that, but the truth is faster 3D material, more 3D printing materials, and I think that would excite me, even though it might be against against what I stand for. But that, and then that would be good.
Yeah, I don't think it's against what you stand for. And again, it goes back to the beginning of our conversation. It's embracing change and finding your place in there.
Yes.
Right. And I think that there's always an opportunity where things change. I mean, us, for example, known as a milling solution, we offer 3D printing as well, right?
Good.
So we embrace it. We don't fight it. We educate. We say this is how they work together, not against each other, but together.
Roland has done an amazing job. There is so many laboratories that I work with that I go into, and they have Rolands. They have, like Roland is everywhere.
Yeah.
You did a great job with that.
We're very fortunate for the loyal and passionate, following that we have.
Efficient.
Yes.
It is efficient.
Yes.
And very quick service.
Well, thank you for that.
In CNC Group, many of our labs have Roland. Many of our vendors are selling Roland, and our Roland is in my backyard, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, you worked everywhere, but you never leave Orange County, right? That's your place of home.
We will see. To be continued.
Wow. You heard it here first. Rosie may be moving from OC.
Maybe.
I mean, you haven't lived anywhere else since you moved from North Carolina, right? It's
Always been Irvine. 1 year during Preet, I went to Central California, which was gorgeous, but a little boring.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a slower paced world, but it's definitely a beautiful place. Well, Rosie, that's all I had for you. All the questions. I'm excited to see you next year and what more amazing things you will do. Everywhere we go, I have to make sure and stop and say hello. We'll make a line, because Rosie has a line of friends, that love you and are very appreciative for everything you do for the industry.
I am very appreciative to be in this industry, for the relationships that I have, for the people that are so genuine and so kind. I love this industry.
Thank you, Rosie.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone. See you next time.